So, today I'm bringing you the Intimidating TBR tag. I was tagged by Claire Quigley, who I will link down below, and the tag was created by Lindsay Ray, who I will also link down below, though apparently she doesn't make videos anymore, so I'm not sure about that. Question number 1 is, what book have you been unable to finish? The last book I didn't finish was an audiobook, actually, of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I think it was a mistake straight off to listen to this on audiobook. I bought it because it was in the Daily Deal section, and I'd heard enough about it to be interested, but I didn't realise the sheer size of the actual text when I bought it. And the audiobook is something crazy, like 36 odd hours long. As well as being really long, it's quite heavy going, and also there are footnotes which just don't, for me, translate into audiobook, because you can't, it's hard to sort of, obviously she says footnote 1, but it's hard to judge when that footnote finishes and goes back into the story. It's just all a little confusing to listen to on audio. I think I will probably pick it up in physical form if I'm going to continue. Well, I listened to like 8 hours of it, so I feel like I've gone too far to, I just kind of gave up. And to be honest, my phone started messing up and I'd start listening to it. And because I'd been confused anyway, I'd sort of listen for 40 minutes and then think, hang on, it's taken me back like 2 hours. But by then I'd listened to 40 minutes of it, and it just, there was various reasons. I don't think it's anything to do with the text itself. I think it's just the format in which I listened to it. I would not recommend listening to that one on audio. Number 2, what book have you just not had the time to read? For this one, I haven't picked out a specific book. I'm going to just go for the easy answer and say all of my books are books that I haven't had time to read. I've had a bit of time off work recently, so I've read bigger books that I wouldn't, like The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, huge, but I got through it last month because I've had some time off and I've had some time to actually read the books that have been the larger side of my bookshelf. So in terms of books that I haven't had time to read, it's everything really. Like, obviously most of the books you see behind me are unread, although I'm getting better. It's generally on a shelf about, I'd say 25 to 75, so we're getting there. I mean, before, all of these books were unread, so slow progress. Then number 3, what book have you yet to read because it's a sequel? I've actually got 2 books here. I firstly bought a few years ago, ignore the irritating sticker that wouldn't come off, The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, without realising that it was the 3rd in a series. So I've now read The Shadow of the Wind, but I've also got Angel's Game, which comes before this one, to read. I didn't love Shadow of the Wind, so I've kind of not bothered picking them up, but I think I will. When I want just an enjoyable read, I'll get to them eventually. Then the 4th question is, what book have you yet to read because it is brand new? The most recent book I've bought is The Girl of Ink and Stars by Kieran Millward Hargrave. This is a beautiful production. It's gorgeous pages as well, and there's a map in the flap. This is the Waterstones Kids Book of the Month. I actually was just in the kids section because I want to start picking up some kids books because I'm thinking about writing my own book aimed at sort of, 9, 10, 12-year-olds, which is a bit more than just a picture book, but is still a kid's book. And I've only read, the 2 books that I'm sort of focusing this on are The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making and The Never-Ending Story, and I was looking for more stories like that are sort of written in equal parts for adults and kids. I don't know about this one. I don't know. I've heard quite a lot about it. It seems to be going around a lot. So I thought I'd pick it up and give it a go because I was actually after the 2nd in the Fairyland series and it wasn't there, so I got this one instead. From what I can tell, this is about a girl who goes on an adventure to find her best friend and uses the stars to navigate her way there. So it sounds like it'll be quite fun, and it's a beautifully produced thing, so I'm looking forward to that one. Number 5, what book have you yet to read because you read a book by the same author and didn't enjoy it? This one was quite hard actually for me because generally I don't pick up books from authors that I don't enjoy. I'm quite unforgiving. If I don't like a book by an author, I generally won't pick up another one. But a book that I do have is The Glass Bead Game by Herman Hesse. I recently decided that I don't like Herman Hesse. I've read 2 books by him, Narcissus and Goldmund, I think it was called, and Journey to the East, and both of them have left me quite underwhelmed. I want to read Steppenwolf because I think that's meant to be his, creme de la creme. But I picked this up before I decided that I didn't actually like him. It's quite thick and the plot sounds a bit strange. It's a classic and I'm hoping I'll enjoy it, but I'm finding it difficult to bring myself to actually pick this up. So we'll see. I might have my mind changed because so far I've only read short things from him and this is a bit longer, so maybe more in depth, I don't know. Number 6. What book have you yet to read because you're just not in the mood for it? This was difficult. I'm generally not the biggest mood reader. I generally just pick up what I fancy or what sounds interesting to me at the time. One book that I've gone for is a book that's been on my shelf for a very long time and I don't think I'm ever going to be in the mood for, and that is Skag Boys by Irvine Welsh. It's big and it's the prequel to Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh. I bought this before I'd actually read Trainspotting because obviously I liked the film of Trainspotting. I thought there was no way I wasn't going to like it, but actually the style for me didn't quite work. It wasn't my cup of tea. It was almost like, it's a very strange thing. It's not like the film in the way that you would expect at all. The only similarity it has really with the film is that it's the same character design and the same sort of situation. They're junkies, but it's kind of written little flash fictions of what happens to them, and there's not necessarily an overarching plot. It's not like the story is still there that is in the film, but it's not a massive plot point. It's kind of just one of the little short stories that happens towards the end. So I didn't love it. It was written in the vernacular, which I find quite, I don't know, it was hard work to read and it wasn't the most enjoyable, and I think for me it was a bit too much of the boyishness. I think it's mainly written for men, and I don't like to say that because who can write a book for a certain gender? I found it quite difficult. I've got Skag Boys still and I do want to read it. I don't want to give it away, especially because I've read the first one and obviously this is going to be a completely new story, and it might be completely different, but it's one that I'm just really not wanting to pick up. I might just have to force myself to because it's getting to the point now where I've had it for like 3 years and it's hanging over me a little bit, so I need to get through that. Right, number 7, what book have you not read yet because it's humongous? As I said before, I've had a bit of time off, so I've been reading bigger books. I got through the Luminaries, which would have been my answer for this question. So I'm going to say War and Peace because it's the biggest book on my shelf. It's very big. And I'm going to say this one because it is the biggest book on my shelf. But to be fair, I don't intend to read it yet. I haven't had it for very long. And it's not one that's pressing on my mind at the moment. I didn't long ago read Anna Karenina, so I'm not desperate to get to this one. But there's that one. As I say, it's big. It's the biggest book I could find. So I thought it'd do for that question. Number 8, what book have you yet to read because it's a cover buy and turned out to have bad reviews? I don't have an answer for this question because I do cover buys, I won't lie about it, but generally I don't pick up books that I haven't heard of before, which I do want to start doing more. I really want to get back into the habit of just going into a bookshop and picking up a book, but because I have such a large wish list of books, when I go into a bookshop I hunt out a book specifically, because I know that I need to work through my wish list before I can just randomly cover buy. So there's no answer for this one. I don't have any books that I bought purely because they were pretty and then was disappointed by. So sorry about that. Then number 9, this is the last question. What is the most intimidating book on your TBR? To be honest, again, I'm not overly intimidated by any of the books I have. I think I know pretty much that I'm going to enjoy all of them, or at least not hate all of them. But the only one I could think for an answer for this would be Crime and Punishment by, I'm going to say this wrong, I did Google how to say this before, but it was an American pronunciation, so I don't know. Fyodor Dostoevsky, I would say. I might be wrong. I think he has a reputation of being difficult and hard to read. I recently started Notes from the Underground by him because it's really thin and I thought it would be a good way to ease myself in and see how I got on with him. But I think I picked it up at the wrong time, to be honest, and it was nothing to do with the writing that I put it back down again. I only read a few pages and was just not in the mood for it. Though I've just said I'm not a mood reader, but sometimes, I mean, it's not often it will happen, but sometimes I will pick up a book and just think, I don't fancy this. So that's what happened happened with that one, so it was nothing to do with the writing. And I'm not overly intimidated by this. I used to sort of be putting it off, but then my partner said actually he's read it, and he's not the biggest reader, and he said because I read so much he doesn't think that it will be intimidating. He thinks it's only intimidating because it's quite dense and because it's quite a big book, I suppose, but he said that he doesn't think that somebody who reads often would have any difficulty with it, so I think it's going to be fine. But there is a reservation in my mind because it's meant to be quite difficult and sort of the creme de la creme of the literary world. But I think it'll be fine. I think I'll enjoy it. I had the same reservations about Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, and actually he was so readable and so easy, and I think big books generally, especially classics, because they're quite dense, get this reputation of being hard to read when actually they're not that bad. So that's that. So I'm actually going to tag people today. I never normally tag people, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the time to actually think of some people to tag. They've probably been tagged already. I'm well behind on my watch list, so I don't know who's been tagged or not. But I'm going to tag Katie at Books and Things, Crystal Lynn at Crystal Lynn, and Angelica at Mercury Calling. I will link all of their channels down below, and I look forward to seeing everybody's answer. Normal rules apply as well. If anybody wants to consider themselves tagged, then please do, and link me down below so I can check out your videos. Bye!